Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is Jamie G here once again. Thank you very much for joining me in today's video. What I'm covering today, it's a targeting hack that you can use if you're a small business or you're looking to sell your Facebook ad services to small businesses. What you'll find going through this is that it doesn't really need to be overly complex, but there's a couple of things that I can perhaps help you out with along the way. For those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Jamie G. I cover internet marketing, affiliate marketing, how to get started online, pretty much all things digital. If that's of interest to yourself, I'd love to have you guys join me. Feel free to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to stay up to date with everything I'm putting out. Rightio. So I'm going to make a couple of assumptions here, first of all. Now, the first one being that you've already gone through the process of setting up your ads. And you're on the ad set level, as you can see by my screen there. Hopefully, I'm just going to double check. This is the second time I've ever gone live on YouTube, so it's all very daunting, very scary. All right, it seems to be making sense so far, so that's the main thing. Let's see if you can see my mouse moving around in the background. There we go. Brilliant, brilliant. Okay. Oh, and that's me there. Crazy. Awesome. Alrighty. Anyway, off that. For a bugger signing up. Yeah, okay, so look, the caveats, like I say, the assumption is that you've gone through the process of creating an ad and you're now at the ad set level where you can find all the targeting options, all that sort of stuff. Now, if you haven't gone through this process before, you don't know how to get to this point, I have actually left a link below in the description there which takes you through to the first video I've done on creating ads via Facebook. But like I say, I have made a couple of assumptions. So let's just assume that you're a gym and you're wanting to get some new clients through the door, and basically you're looking at what your targeting options are when you get to this point. So there's a couple of things we can do. First of all, you can go nationwide. You can actually just type in here worldwide, believe it or not, and you can actually target the entire world. Now, the only time I would probably use that, and where is it? World. If I could spell properly. Not world. There we go. World. I think that's how you spell it, isn't it? Worldwide. Prestige. Worldwide. Wide. Cool. Yeah, okay. So basically that's going to target the entire world. So basically anyone who's on Facebook, pretty much. The only time I have used that, and I have used it very successfully, was I wanted to use an existing post and maintain the social engagement and the social proof on that existing post. So I ran two ad sets side by side. One was with worldwide targeting, because I knew that I'd be able to get very, very cheap engagement and clicks from some of the countries that don't get advertised to all that much, and for very cheap, as I mentioned. And also, I had another ad set that was targeting the tier one countries such as United States, Australia, Singapore, Canada, United Kingdom, all that sort of stuff as well. So in doing so, it just meant that I was maintaining social proof. I was getting a lot of traffic coming through to the actual post. So people were commenting and liking and all that sort of stuff. So those other people that were in the countries that I did actually want to target, if they saw the social proof there, they would be more inclined to take an action and at least read through the ad copy, all that sort of stuff. That's the only time I've used that, and the only time I'd probably bother using that as well, for that matter, unless there's something that you believe can help the entire earth, in which case, good on you. Anyway, we're not looking at that scale right now. So basically, we've got the little map thing here, right? And we can either include or exclude. So you might exclude, for example, a particular suburb. So what we can do is just click in here. Now, I'm based in Melbourne, Australia. So if I was to target, say, 3,000 Melbourne, plus here, you can actually target just that suburb right there. Pretty cool. This is called a geo fence, and what that means is that Facebook will only show my ads within this little square just there. Pretty damn cool, if you ask me. Now, the other way you can do it is really simple as well, and that would be I'll just say, for example, oh well, Melbourne's already there, so I can just go drop a pin, and I can go, okay, where do I want it? I don't know, Flemington, where the horses are. Carlton, no. Hawthorn, yeah, why not? Let's do South Yarra. I always like that suburb, so it's going to drop it there. And it automatically defaults to a 10-mile radius. Now, you can actually adjust that down further, 1 mile. I don't know if you'd really want to go that low, but you can actually go up to as large as 50 miles as well. So pretty cool. It's going to target a pretty cool, pretty massive area. So what I'd suggest if you are a local business, like I say, the two ways you can go about that is drop a pin, because in reality it might be that people are driving. So if we go just 10 miles for argument's sake. Oops, doesn't like when I do that. There we go. Well, 9, whatever, doesn't make a difference. Anyway, so as you can see here, that's going to target that dot plus 9 miles around there. Yeah, so you can just kind of drag it around if you choose to as well. Like where do you want it? Do you want to move this, exclude that, delete it? Yeah, let's delete it. We don't want it there anymore. And then it says, oh, you're missing a location. The other thing you can do, like I say, is add a geo fence. So if I just use that first example, would be 3000 Melbourne, bang, yep, here. And we want to now exclude, what's another postcode around here? Let's say 3004, it's St Kilda Road. Oops, sorry, 304. Hopefully it picks it up. Okay, then we might need to go like St Kilda Road. And still it doesn't pick it up. Okay, St Kilda Road, brilliant. All right, so it's a bit of a funny one because it's basically saying, like it obviously goes right into the city there, and that's your exclusion zone. So if we can zoom in here, and I'll show you what it actually means. So you're wanting to now target, and it seems to have. That's really weird that it's done that. Let's go, because St Kilda Road's not really a circular thing, and I was hoping to just be able to put the postcode, which is 3004. And so now basically it's going to only go and exclude around that particular radius. But we can actually go one better. So I'm going to get rid of that one there. I'm going to delete that. And I'm just going to click on this once again, and I'm going to go exclude. If it'll allow me, yes, exclude. You have to have at least one location. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And I don't know what's a 3021. I think that's Richmond, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, okay, try that one. Cool. Okay, it's not really relevant. It's a bad example, but you kind of get the idea. So I'm now. In fact, that's clearly not Richmond. That's miles away. What did I put? 30. Shows how well I know the city. Huh? 300. What else we got over here? Oh, how about South Yarra? 3141. There we go. Want to exclude? Definitely exclude South Yarra. They get enough traffic from Facebook. And again, oh whoops, because I didn't. Sorry guys. Oh gosh, it's one of those days. I could tell you. Actually, that's probably not the right suburb. Anyway, 3141. I think. Did I say? There we go. That's a bit more accurate. Alrighty, that's better. Cool. Okay, so you get the point. Anyway, I'm going to zoom out. So now, basically, so what I could do, for example, is instead of having just the actual suburb itself, I could perhaps target, like drop a pin on the CBD itself, and have like a certain radius, and then I could potentially exclude South Yarra or one of the other neighbouring suburbs. So that would be how I would do the targeting thing. I'm going to get rid of that first one. I've obviously got that way wrong. Thought it was Richmond, but I'm clear. Oh, is it 3121? Actually, that 3121. Where's that? Let's have a look. Yeah, okay, that's a bit better. I knew I wasn't too far off. Cool. Okay, so now basically, as you can see, we've got one inclusion zone, two exclusion zones, and where this is really good is, especially if you're selling your services to other businesses, you might have a competitor based in Richmond, but you've got someone that wants people that are entering the CBD. So therefore, obviously, you can't really have the ads shown basically for both of them if you've got two competitors that you're vying for or advertising on behalf of, if that makes sense. Yeah. So anyway, that's how you do that side of things. Obviously, the age. One of the things I think a lot of people miss the boat on this one, but if you think about it, you got to kind of put your head in the mind of the consumer. What I mean by that is going back to our example of using to a gym, for example. What's the likelihood of someone who's I don't know 15 or 17 even for that matter of them actually having a gym membership? Chances are they're probably still involved in school, but probably still I don't know, they might be involved in university if they're 18, for example. So for me, I'm quite cautious, and obviously this all comes down to testing, but I'm quite cautious about what demographic has the disposable budget to spend on such things. I think a lot of the time, especially this demographic in here, yes, a lot of them will go to gyms. I'm not saying that at all. Basically, what I am saying though is that a lot of these people will have their own sports clubs or will go to the gyms just because their friends go, not necessarily because they've been pounded with some advertisement, if that makes sense. Anyway, like I say, you really got to play around with it. So I'm just going to use that as an example, but and that's probably not the best example either. But if we use another type of business where you know that it is sort of suited to an older demographic, or at least a demographic that does and usually have a lot more disposable income, then you'll want to bump up that age to maybe 25-ish, give or take. And then again, you know, are 65 plus year olds going to be inclined to take up your particular offer? That's the thing you need to try and work out. And then again, obviously, male or female, what's the demographic? I think for me, I usually leave these kind of pretty open because I really just want to get that data first before I draw a conclusion as to whether these are going to be sort of, you know, male focused or female focused, all that sort of stuff. Now, the targeting, if I'm doing just even a leads based ad, I'm just going to go back to my little map over here. What I've actually found, it's a bit of a funny one, but Facebook's algo seems to be on the improve. And strangely enough, I've discovered that a lot of the time, if I don't put any targeting at all, I leave it like super, super broad, then I get better results compared to if I was specifically targeting one audience over another. That's not to say that you shouldn't test out a couple of different theories or a couple of different interests, for example, but it is just, yeah, something that I've picked up. So I found that I get pretty good engagement, and the cost per leads, all that sort of stuff, tends to be somewhat lower. Not in every case as well, I might add. Like I say, the important part is for you to test that. So again, what I'd be inclined to do is complete all this, do one ad set, and then just quite simply duplicate it and create like broad targeting or more refined targeting if you choose to. But just to go through this process again anyway, just to make sure that it all makes sense. Again, I'm going to use gyms as an example, but I might put in something like fitness. Because obviously you do want some targeting ideally. And as you can see, I mean, there's a whole bunch here, which is kind of cool. So therefore, you know, things like men's fitness, is that going to really resonate with your female demographic? Probably not. But something like potentially physical fitness is. Alrighty, so there we go. And that's now saying that it's only fewer than 1,000 people in my audience. So that there's something not quite right there. And these, by the way, are it's not a hard science. I've found that this can be. I just don't know how accurate it is. I've had times when it says fewer than 1,000, and then I'll advertise and I'll just get an amazing click rate and all that sort of stuff. I don't actually know who Facebook's showing the ads to, because it doesn't actually define the size of the ads, any size of the audience, I should say. But if you are stressed about that, one of the things you can do is actually build it back up again as well. So I can actually just click on suggestions underneath that, and it'll pop up with different things that will help me out. So fitness and wellness. Let's chuck a workout in there. We definitely want to work out. What's related to that? Definitely self-care, self-love. Yep, sure, why not? Strength training, personal development. Yeah, it's probably a big part of it as well. And it's still saying, again, incredibly odd that it would be less than 1,000 people that would be involved or interested in all those interests, right? So that's what I find quite bizarre. Anyway, like I say, you really need to play around with it. And if you are concerned, you can just build that demographic back up as well. Or if you think, oh, okay, it doesn't look like there's going to be enough people in my audience, again, you can just click on that and you can actually just drop a pin instead. So you might decide instead, I'm just going to delete all that altogether. So now basically I've got no audience. I'm just excluding everyone. No one's involved in this audience. So what I can do now is just go back over here, drop a pin. Actually, sorry, change that to include. Drop my little pin right in the heart of Melbourne, and that'll automatically default to 10 miles. But then, sorry, it's automatically deleted my exclusions. That's absolutely fine. I'm not really that stressed. Like I say, you can go from 1 mile right out to 50 miles. So I might go, just say, let's say 8 miles, 7 miles. Why not? 7-mile radius for that particular targeting. You might get people that are commuting to and from work that are interested in my offer. Now that's starting to look a little bit more reasonable now. 660,000 people in that audience, and this covers all these interests. So again, like I say, you really do want to split test that. So I mean, these are obviously pretty well related to health and fitness and gyms, all that sort of stuff, as you'd expect. But having said that, I would definitely split test it with basically no targeting whatsoever, and just let the algorithm do its thing and find the audience members that are resonating with your ads. Yeah. So that's it. And then what I'd also have a look at is things that a lot of people probably wouldn't really think of. Oh, sorry, actually, while we're just here as well, connection types. So you can have it so that these people are either connected to your page, they are friends of people that are connected to your page, and why that one there is actually quite powerful would be you already got a layer of people that are familiar with your brand by having liked your page and whatnot. But if you're targeting friends of people who like that page, what it tends to do is it adds that layer of social proof. So, for example, if there's myself and maybe 10 or 15 of my friends that happen to like a particular interest, and then I've got another 10 or 15 other friends that don't like that particular interest or are not familiar with that particular interest, what it will actually show as part of the ads is Jamie and all his other 14 mates he just mentioned like this page or like this thing. And so therefore, just purely as a little psychological hack, the friends of friends that aren't familiar with that brand are more inclined to take an action to have a look at what it is that their friends like, or like that page based on the fact that their friends like it. So little kind of hack for you guys to ponder over. And again, I know I say this about 1,000 times per video, but you really do need to test that out. It's not a hard and fast rule, and it will be one of those things where, depending on the size of your page and your interests, all that sort of stuff, how finite that audience is, you might find it's just too small, and it just defeats the purpose of actually advertising to them at all. People that use your app, events, advanced combinations. So you could go someone that's used your app but doesn't like your page, or whatever. So I usually don't really mess with that too much. And of course, if you do want to save this, you're quite happy with the targeting, you can obviously save that as well as a custom audience. Now, by default, Facebook will say you should be offering automatic placements, and it will just pretty much just do its thing and find which one's working best. I personally don't like doing that because unless it's a retargeting audience, so that's just to cover that real quick. If it's someone who has either seen one of your videos or they have engaged with your brand, they have liked a post, they have gone to your website, they have taken an action on a website. These are all parts of what you can create a retargeting audience based on. And that's the only time that I'd leave it as automatic placement. Otherwise, I pretty much always adjust the actual placements themselves. So, a couple of things. There's a couple of options here. You can go and remove desktop, so mobile only or desktop only. Again, you want to test that. I haven't had much success with desktop, but then at the same time, if you think about, say, an e-commerce brand, it might be that people only buy when they are at their laptop or desktop and they're sitting through, and they can actually have a bit more time to read through things as opposed to just playing around on their phone. Alrighty, so over here, sometimes it really depends on what I'm doing, but I will often remove the in-stream videos because the things that pop up, it's like a video within another video. I don't really agree with that. I think it's going to probably irk people more than anything. The right-hand column, I pretty much just always leave out. If it looks like it's not even an option here for some reason, but I almost always leave that out. And the reason why is just you always see them over here on Facebook themselves on the desktop. Excuse me, and I don't know anyone that that would click on them. That's why I wouldn't click on them. So I don't think anyone else would. That's my logic. But again, test it out yourself. Feeds definitely. I mean, that's you're paying for your ads. You might as well have them right in the middle there. Instant articles. Yeah, look, I mean, I've had some success with those as well. I leave them on there for the most part. Suggested videos, yes, definitely. Marketplace. Now, that's a funny one for me. I haven't really sort of done any split tests with just testing the marketplace to see how it performs, but I think overall if you're paying for the real estate, you might as well pay for feeds. That's the way I view it. Yeah. Stories again. Um, I don't know. It's a bit of a funny one with stories as well because I think I've had a look at a couple of stories and I've seen a few ads, but it hasn't. I'm on stories because I'm like looking at what my friends are up to and the different events that they're going to, stuff like that. So I don't usually go there, and no matter how compelling an ad may be, I usually don't bother clicking on it because I'm not interested in what that product is. So I personally try to leave that out. That's just me. I mean, again, it's not something that I've actually individually split tested with this particular with that particular placement. Instagram, again, I'm the same with stories and feeds. I actually leave Instagram as it is. Sometimes I play around with the getting rid of stories, and because, like I say, I mean, you are paying for that real estate. You might as well have it sort of displayed to I guess the people that are more likely to actually take an action or even give it a like or whatever, as opposed to the stories. But again, split test it, yeah. But let's leave it off for now. Audience network. Now, I've heard a few people say some pretty mixed things about audience network. One school of thought is that if your ad is running on relevant sites, then it's quite likely someone will take an action and actually click through. Another stream of thought is basically if they're on some random website and it's not really related or whatever, is the person that views that ad, are they more likely just to click it just out of curiosity? Are they actually interested at all, or are they just wondering like why this person's advertising to me? I'm not even in that demographic. What I mean by that is just purely hypotheticals here. I haven't researched this at all. Do your own homework with it. But if, for argument's sake, your ad happens to land on, say, a marketing blog, but you're targeting, I don't know, foodies, for argument's sake, then the marketers might go, oh, that's a pretty cool ad. I'll click on it, even though I have no interest in this food related item at all, just to give you an idea. But having said that, I usually do actually leave it in. I leave this, especially the native banner and interstitial. It's a tricky word. Try saying that 3 times fast. And I leave out the in-stream videos because, again, I don't really think if someone's watching an in-stream video, they're not really inclined. If they're watching something that is important to them, that they will want to click away from that. And Messenger, I haven't really had any success with Messenger, and I'd be quite happy to hear anyone's thoughts for anyone that has had some success with the Messenger placement, because in my mind, again, it's one of those things, I'm not in my Messenger to basically interact with ads. I'm not there for fun. I'm there to communicate. So I don't really want to be distracted by that. So for me, that's my logic. And again, I'm me, and that's just the opinions I have. I can't actually say factually that I've field tested exclusively just Messenger placement. It is up to you to do your homework in that regard. Now, here's where it gets really cool as well. You can also go onto mobile devices, and you can go just Android, just iPhone. You almost wouldn't believe it. This is a funny little side story for you guys, those of you that are interested in this. Basically, I discovered a while back, I thought, cool, I'm going to split test I was working with a developer, property developer, and I split test mobile devices. And so therefore we got some really great engagement through the mobile placement, and I was really happy with it. I thought, this is brilliant. And then I started having a look at some of the stats, and I thought, oh, this is really fascinating. The cost per lead is something, it was ridiculously ridiculous comparison, but it's something like 60% lower using iPhone as opposed to Android devices. And I thought, that can't be right. Surely not. That's ridiculous. Why would iPhone users be more inclined to be property developers or interested in property development than Android users? So I thought, cool, I'll do a split test, and I split it up into mobile placement. And I chucked one Android only, and then Android and feature phones, and iOS devices. And sure enough, the iPhone devices got considerably lower cost per lead than the Android devices. So just something for you guys to play around with. It's not a hard and fast rule. I haven't field tested it across many other than that one developer, but yeah, something to think about anyway. Now, here's another really cool thing, and I think a lot of people miss out on this as well. Thankfully, these days, data is pretty cheap. most of the phone plans people have providing a fairly decent chunk of data for relatively cheap. I personally, I don't really even monitor how much data I'm chewing through. I think I've got like 20 gigs a month or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But having said that, if you tick this box online, only when connected to Wi-Fi, basically, if you have a think about it, most people that are connected to Wi-Fi are in a comfortable environment. They are more likely to be in their own home or in a cafe, chilling out, or perhaps even in their office, on the loo, or whatever, right? But the point being is that if they are connected to Wi-Fi and they are in that comfortable environment, they are more likely to take some sort of action as you would want them to do. So it could be filling out a lead form or making a purchase, as opposed to, oh no, I don't want to burn through my data, so I won't bother watching this ad type thing. The people still have that mindset. So anyway, it's just something to play around with once again, but something to think about more than anything, I think, right? Now you can also apply block lists. So that would mean particular websites you don't want included, and again, you can do the same with categories as well. So you don't want these included. It's up to you. But it's probably going to be negligible if you're just targeting on a local basis anyway. So I probably wouldn't worry about that. So that's it. Nice and straightforward. Now, budget stuff. This is pretty cool, I reckon. Now, you can start a lot lower than $5 a day. That's the default. But you can also do this cool thing over here, which is lifetime budget. And I have discussed this before, but let's say, for argument's sake, that what are we? That's not even March yet, is it? It's Feb. 28 days of Feb. Let's say that I wanted my ads to end at midnight at the end of why is that in the let's do it. Say from tomorrow, whatever, won't matter. Alrighty. So say if we want the ads to run for the rest of the month and basically shut off at midnight or close to on the 28th, and we know that we want basically the budget to go right up to 350 for argument's sake. What Facebook will do is it will actually spend to the cent whatever your budget is there. And what I've found is that it works really well if you're on a very strict budget. So it might be that one day it will spend $40, the next day it'll spend 15. It depends how many people are on Facebook, and it automatically optimizes for each and every day, which is really cool. The other thing, of course, is that if you're basically doing this on behalf of a client, it means that you don't need to jump in every day or every other day to make sure that the ad spend is where it should be, because it's going to automatically optimize itself for the lifetime. But of course, the flip side is that it will expire. So basically what it means is that once it comes up to expiry, you just need to duplicate it if you're happy to keep it running with that same budget, and duplicate it for the following month with the updated budget, basically, or the same budget if you choose to go down that path as well. So that's what I do a lot of the time. Works really well. Optimization, again, you probably don't really need to cover this stuff too much, but reach suggested option, basically how many people the ad gets served to, impressions, and then either frequency cap. Now, the reason why this is popping up, and it might look a little bit different for yours, is just as a random sort of example. I wanted to show reach. So I wanted my ad to be shown to as many people as possible. And that's why it probably looks a little bit different than a lot of the other ad sets that you would be viewing yourself. You can still chuck in a bid strategy as well. Now, it might mean that if you're happy to pay per 1,000 impressions, or was it CPM, you might decide, no, well, I only want to pay $2, which is pretty damn cheap, actually. So there we go. $2, an actual bid cap. But what it will mean is that Facebook might end up struggling to find those people, and it might end up showing the ads at inopportune times and things like that. So I normally just leave that blank and let the algorithm just kind of do its thing, unless there's a particular reason why I would go behind that and do a particular bid strategy. You can also run it on a schedule. Now, this is something that I have covered before, but just wanted to recap one of the cool stories that I came up with a while back. well, actually, not that I came up with. I field tested something, and basically what it was is that between my client and I, we picked up that a lot of the engagement we were getting on the ads and a lot of the leads that were coming through were between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. and then 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. We actually extended right out to midnight by the end of it, but 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. and in the middle it was kind of a bit flat. There was a couple of leads here and there, but nothing really major. And so what we found out is that basically we were targeting PTs for an app download, and we discovered that the optimal time was actually between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. for whatever reason, and then so on and so forth, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. So therefore, we ended up bringing the cost per lead down considerably just by doing that. And completely up to you what you do with that. I personally don't really bother with it most of the time. It's just that if you start getting some data through, you can start honing into what is working, what's not working, and that's just one of the things that you can actually play with as well. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go with that. And that's it. That is targeting. Oh, it's found one error. No, it hasn't. Anyway, that's it. You can also have delivery types. So, for example, you might decide that for whatever reason that you want to basically just show your ad as quickly as possible, get the data out there, see if it's actually going to resonate with the audience. That's probably the only reason I would ever use the accelerated delivery type. Otherwise, I just go for standard, which then optimizes the budget throughout the day or the week or the month, whatever the time frame of the actual campaign or ad set is going for. But anyway, look, hopefully that's given you a little bit of a guidance as to how the targeting side of things works. Hopefully it all makes sense. Leave a comment below. Let me know basically what you do for your own targeting, if there's any unique hacks or tricks that you use. And yeah, that was it. I just wanted to go through that. There is one other thing I would like to discuss real quick as well. Now, it hasn't been rolled out to my ad manager yet. Sometimes Facebook's a little bit slow, but there is also another option coming out, which is to target, get this, Facebook groups. Pretty damn cool. Can't wait. Basically, what that's going to mean is that you will be able to target people in Facebook groups that are related to an interest of some kind. So, you might be able to siphon off people that are in other groups, for example, things like that. So I'm looking forward to that one. I'll keep you posted once I learn a bit more about it. Like I say, hasn't actually been rolled out to my ad manager yet, but something that is definitely on its way soon. Anyway, my name is Jamie G. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. And like I say, if you did get any enjoyment out of this, just smash that like button, leave a comment, let me know what your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.